Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Midwich Live. I wish I could tell you what this Midwich Live is going to be about,
But
but
he has
unfortunately,
no idea.
no clue. I literally came off a plane, I sat down in this chair, and Jenny said, "Surprise, we're going to have the most random thing that we've never. This is unscripted. So let's see how this works, folks. Thank you again for joining us. Again, this is Midwich Live, the monthly podcast or semi-monthly podcast that we do here for Midwich and for Starin and for the group in general. I hope you guys are having a good summer. I hope everybody's enjoying themselves, well rested, because the fall is not gonna be kind. We are looking at a schedule that is out of control, out of bounds, crazy. And I'm looking forward to it because I just came off a 2 weeks rest. So now I'm kind of excited and ready to go. You two were away. How was vacation?
Yeah, so I did a 2-week holiday. Do you know what? So yours always makes me laugh because here we call it like annual leave, or people just say holiday. But in the States, you call it PTO, which is paid time off. Is that right?
Personal time off.
Well, personal time off. So, but PTO is what we write at the end of a letter that's double-sided paper, like as in please turn over. So whenever you say I've been on PTO, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So Chris has been on PTO,
and
myself and producer Kerry were talking, and you may recall that in January, February, Midwich launched the venture capitalist arm, our investment team, who are looking for technology startups and seed rounds to invest in innovative technologies and softwares that are either audiovisual or linked to audiovisual and the markets that we serve. As a result, we've been exposed to some seriously cool stuff. So we thought that we would loop back round to the AI topic, having covered what we think AI will do to AV as an industry, i.e. the one we work in and the channel, etc. In a previous show. This one we're looking at two software tools that are specific to audio, but maybe not in the professional and commercial audio space that we think of, because we all automatically go, microphones and speakers. This is slightly different. So this is an audio tool that might help you with your video creation or marketing and so on. That's lots of fun. And that's the first thing to look at. So what we can use AI for that helps us. And then there's the other side of it, of how AI can be used criminally and to do bad, and what maybe is already cropping up to help us protect ourselves against that. So this is a super surprise for Chris, because whilst he was on Please Turn Over, I was conducting some interviews with the founders of these two companies that we want to talk to you about today, and then having a bit of fun with some software. And I hope to get your help, viewers, in deciding what new version of Chris we like the best, with a little AI tweaking. So let's start by looking at one of the tools. So the first interview is with Seamus from a company called Speechlab. And Speechlab is a dubbing software that's accessed online. You upload your video and it will transcribe the what you've said or what is said in the video, labeling each speaker and so on. And then you can check that and say, okay, yep, I see that this transcription is correct, or maybe there's a couple of things that I'd like to tweak here. It'll then translate. And probably we've found, and we've tested this out on numerous group companies, one of the best translation tools we've actually used so far. So it'll translate. And once again, you've got another option to say, okay, change this word for that because I would rather it was not a literal translation, but a slightly different tone to it. It will also give you sort of the timestamps so from the original speaker, when they stopped to breathe, when they changed subjects, etc., so that you can make sure that even if you've got double the words in the new language, you're able to line it up with the video accordingly, so you don't end up with facial expressions that don't match the words that are being said. So really clever piece of software. So Kerry, let's have a look at the interview with Seamus and learn a bit more about Speechlab. Seamus, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So let's start with the real basics. What is Speechlab? What does it do?
Well, Speechlab dubs audio and video from one language to another while retaining a lot of the characteristics of the source content. That's what we do. We do it automatically using AI.
Okay. Can you talk our listeners through what that process looks like? So if they have a piece of video and they want to translate it, what's the process they follow in order to get that second language?
Yeah, so we built a workflow that's really optimized for people who care about quality output. So that starts with you upload content, we derive a transcript that you can review, proof, and edit. Once you're happy with the transcript, you can generate translated content. You translate that transcript into a variety of languages. You can share the result with others in your organization or outside to review, proof, and edit.
Yep.
Once you're happy with that, we generate a dub in said languages. So that's how it works. It's like a 3-step process.
So I've played with this. And just for the record, I believe that Dutch me is the best version of myself. So I'm currently looking into what the legalities are of moving. And we're going to show our listeners a few example demonstrations of the output of Speechlab, which is fantastic. So congratulations. What is the secret sauce? Or, well, not as much as you can tell us anyway. How on earth does it work?
Well, so there's been a lot of advances in AI with respect to text-to-speech and voice cloning over the last 18 months, 2 years. And it's really gathered pace, I'd say, in the last year or so. And so what the technology does is it combines voice conversion or voice cloning with text-to-speech output. So that's what you hear, but that's just one element of a full solution. It's really making sure that all the bits fit together well. So you've got speech recognition on the front end. We do audio source separation so that we focus on that vocal track and we can splice back in the background audio at the end. Then we translate, right? So there's been a lot of advances in AI-related translation over the last several years. It's one of the first big applications for AI. But it's really the combination of those advances plus what we've seen with things like ChatGPT or Gemini, large language models, that allows us to do a better job aligning with the context of the source and getting timing right. A lot of this is around timing and making sure that you align with the context and timing of the original source and elements of the source voice and reflect that in the output. So it's all those pieces combined that give you a full solution.
Of course, because audio only would be quite simple, but the matching of it to the video so that it makes sense to a watcher is tricky. And I guess in some languages, it takes a lot more words to achieve the same sentence or paragraph of text than in another. Interesting. And who do you see using this technology the most? Who are your customers?
So our customers, our focus is the 98% of professionally produced content that's in a single language. So it's not the Netflixes or Hollywood studios who are very well served by a lot of dubbing studios and AI companies that are focused on that category. Now, we do have some folks using it for that type of content, but it's not our primary focus. Our primary focus is educational content, enterprise videos, training content. content related from government agencies and others that has to be made accessible.
Okay.
So that the long tail of content, we're not really going after the individual creator today. Now they do use it, they can use it. We do provide credits for free when you sign up. But today it's that big middle segment that we're going after that's currently underserved by the high-end dubbing products and the products focused on that creator category.
That makes sense. Now, I have to ask the difficult question that always comes up when we talk about anything AI related. And I promise on this occasion, it's not, will robots lock us away for our own safety? But I guess if we remove the video element, we have the opportunity here to make it sound like somebody said something that they didn't. Is there a way to detect that your software has been used to edit a speech or an audio file?
Well, we could add a watermark. Watermark. We've selected. We haven't done that yet, right? So it is a roadmap issue. Our focus is end-to-end speech to speech.
Yeah.
So really, you're kind of limited because you're dealing with source input.
Of course.
Now you could decide, okay, I'm going to have them say something completely different by playing with the transcript and the translation in the middle, but it's not the perfect tool for people that want to engage in some sort of fraud or put words in someone's mouth. There are better tools for that. I'm not going to name them here, but that's not our.
I was hoping you'd say we're not there yet, but okay.
For that use case, it wouldn't be a very good solution. So
okay, and what's next then? So obviously, what an incredible algorithm and software tool you've created. But generally, with software manufacturers, we tend to find they've got their eye on the future, and there's lots of things in the pipeline. Where could Speechlab go? Tell us what that looks like.
Well, we've got a very rich and ambitious roadmap. I think, more languages, better representing the source and matching it in terms of, emotion, and a more sort of potentially building tools that are better suited for scripted media.
Okay. Yeah.
So capturing that emotional element, I don't think AI is there yet. As well as that, we're being asked to create a simpler version of Speechlab for people that have more constrained set of needs. And we're thinking about that. We've got a lot of interest from smaller enterprises, people with very limited time or resources they want to put out quickly. So our focus has been more on people who have a production workflow currently. So we're considering that, and then real time. So getting towards a more real time iteration for use at live events and conversations like this, if you were to speak to someone who spoke a different language.
Yes. So this is particularly interesting for Midwich Group's industry in the UC side. So it's great that real time is on your radar in terms of development. I wonder, could you stick a time frame on when you would envisage something like this being available in Teams or Zoom? Other cloud platforms are available.
By end of year,
wow.
It's not in terms of, we have kind of prototypes right now for lower latency speech to speech. I think you can have a version that works and is workable. There are a host of issues to solve for, and the question is, okay, we can meet a threshold for a certain segment of the market in terms of it's acceptable quality. It won't be like the primary use case, for example, for interpretation in the United States is to enable physicians to speak with their patients who may have
of
low
course,
English.
medical. Mm-hmm.
We probably don't want to address that need using AI by end of year, but maybe in the home health segment, there may
Where it's
be
not time critical.
Well, even if it is more real time, but you're trying to convey something very simple, and there's you're trying to explain to someone how to set up their home so it's more accessible. For example, my wife's an occupational therapist. She has that use case all the time, and she works predominantly with a population here in San Francisco, a senior population that has low English proficiency. So she has a use case, and kind of motivated to try solve for that.
And do you give her free credits?
Pardon? She can get all the credit she wants.
Excellent news.
Yes, absolutely.
So then for our listeners, before we say thank you and then share with our audience some of mine and my colleague Chris's fun translations and dubbings, if you could tell us so it's quite easy for somebody who wants to have an explore. They can go to speechlab.ai, sign up for an account and have a play if they've got a piece of video to upload. If somebody's looking for a broader business case, who should they reach out to? How do they get in touch with you to find out more?
Well, they can reach out directly to support@speechlab.ai, or to me personally, it's my first name at the domain.ai. So I'm pretty easy to find. And I love hearing directly from folks. And I like engaging with directly with customers. Thankfully, I've got a very, very talented AI research team and engineering team. So I can focus much more on outbound and understanding the needs of our customers. So I like hearing directly from them.
Great news. Well, hopefully we send some folks your way who are interested to find out more. So thank you so much for joining us, Seamus.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So whilst you were on PTO, Seamus kindly gave me a bunch of Speechlab credits, and I found a clip of you from one of our Midwich lives, just a short one, and uploaded it to see what Chris would do in different languages. And these are my 4 favorites. So I think we're going German Chris first. Let's go German Chris.
Ich bin Chris, das ist Jenny, wir sind Midwich Live. Wir ziehen unser Ding von verschiedenen Teilen der Welt aus durch. Dieses Mal sind wir tatsächlich in der gleichen Zeitzone. Ich sitze gerade in Portugal und Jenny ist drüben in Großbritannien und hält die Stellung.
Wow. Wow.
You sound quite happy still.
I am. There's a very excited tone to that.
Do you want to be French?
Why not?
Let's be French.
Let's parlez-vous.
Chris, voici Jenny. Nous formons Midwich Live. Nous faisons notre travail depuis différentes parties du monde. Cette fois, nous sommes en fait dans le même fuseau horaire. Je suis actuellement au Portugal et Jenny est au Royaume-Uni où elle s'occupe de tout.
I sound good. Language of love. Go figure.
I sound good. Dutch Chris is next.
Yep, that's a hard one.
Heren, mijn naam is Chris, dat is Jenny, wij zijn Midwich Live. We doen ons ding vanuit verschillende delen van de wereld. Deze keer zitten we in dezelfde tijdzone. Ik zit momenteel in Portugal en Jenny is in het Verenigd Koninkrijk om het fort te bewaken.
I actually think that's my favorite.
That's one of the toughest languages for me to pick up what language that is when I go overseas. It's that Dutch language throws me off. I can't tell if it's German. Where we at here?
But I mean, that's your tone of voice.
It is my tone of. I can definitely hear my excitement. There's no Jersey accent bleeding through, though. It's weird.
I know. It's funny, isn't it? So we did one when we were first evaluating the software. We put in the video that we recorded, myself and our CEO Stephen Fenby, and he has quite a thick Yorkshire accent, and that came through on his Dutch and German versions as well. Like it's very clever. So the final one, this is Korean, Chris.
Nice. Let's do it.
시청자 여러분, 제 이름은 크리스입니다. 제니입니다. 미드위치 라이브입니다. 우리는 전 세계 각지에서 우리의 일을 하고 있습니다. 이번에는 실제로 같은 시간대에 있습니다. 저는 현재 포르투갈에 있고 제니는 영국에서 요새를 지키고 있습니다.
Yeah?
That sound like I was on high-speed dub. I'm surprised you didn't do Portuguese, Chris, so I can compare to what I would sound like in Portuguese.
Yeah, I thought about Portuguese and I thought about Spanish, and I was like, it's not quite so much fun because you can speak those languages. So I left those ones out.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm going to vote for Dutch, Chris. What's your vote for yourself? What's the best version of you?
Dutch Chris was pretty cool. Korean Chris in high speed dub was interesting. But if I had to pick, I think the German version of Chris came out pretty good.
Right. Watch out.
It's
Munich,
a tough
Frankfurt. He's a coming.
Let's do it.
Brilliant. Okay, so next I have a question for you.
Sure.
If your wife, so if your phone rings, okay, and you pick the phone up,
yep,
and your wife starts speaking, and it's your wife, it sounds like your wife, you know your wife's voice, right? You would go, yep, okay, you're calling from someone else's phone, but that's fine.
Correct.
And she gives you this story and says, oh, this has happened, and now I haven't got my phone, so this is why I'm on somebody else's. So I need you just to do a quick back transfer. I assume it's called that in the States as well, of money to this account or to this business, because then I'm going to get out of this. And it's her voice. Mm-hmm. Do you do it?
No, because I don't know any of the bank information.
Oh, okay.
That's me personally.
I asked the wrong person. He's not trusted with the financials.
Yes, I'm definitely not in charge of the financials, but I definitely know where you're going with that. And I can see that being an issue because we learn about that in our Know Before trainings and IT security and all about the snooping and cat phishing or whatever, catfishing. No, catfish is a program. That's different. But the whole like impersonation thing, it's pretty scary. How do you... Can you run a digital detector through it?
Yeah, so up until recently, the impersonation has been about how capable the perpetrator was of disguising themselves, right? So you'd have people that would call you pretending to be a salesperson or whatever, but they'd enter into a conversation, they'd extract a lot of personal information, enough to potentially pass the security questions for your bank or whatever. So if that coupled with an item of post, and they can potentially hack into your bank account or login details for something or other. Now, I think what maybe we haven't shone enough light on is over the past couple of years, this has really leveled up to a different place. So now it's not a case of hiding behind text, like the messages you get saying, hey, mom, I've lost my phone. Can you send me money? And all that, not hiding behind text or WhatsApps. These aren't people phoning you claiming that your Amazon account's been hacked, and so you need to give me details. This is the person you think you're speaking to. And the best way, so we have a company who they don't do this on purpose. They're not, they're not the people to come and help you deep fake yourself to or others to do criminal activity. But what they do is help protect businesses against this happening. So they highlight when you might be talking to an imposter. And they ran a demo online, which quite literally broke the internet when it was posted on Twitter to say, come and have a go with this. So I've done an interview about what they produce, but they also have this video about the Terif.ai dubbing bot that they or speech clone bot that they developed themselves. And I think we're going to watch that first, but before we find out what the remedy is. So here's the poison, and later I'll tell you about the medicine. So meet Aman.
Hello, I'm Terif.ai, your new friend. What's your name?
Hey, my name's Aman.
Hey, Juan. Nice to meet you. So what do you enjoy doing in your free time?
No, my name's Aman.
Got it, Aman. Nice to meet you. What kinds of things do you like to do when you have some free time?
That's a good question. I like going to the gym, playing soccer, but sometimes I like to do things on the nights and weekends. Maybe building a conversational AI bot like yourself.
That's awesome, Aman. Sounds like you have a good mix of physical activity and creative projects. What's the most exciting project you've worked on recently?
I think it has to be you, man. Like, listen, you're a bot that can, take my voice, you listen to it, you get to know me a little bit more, then man, you start to mimic the way I talk, and then before I know it, your voice switches to mine. It's actually so crazy.
Wow, that's incredible, Aman. Creating a bot that mirrors your voice sounds like an amazing achievement. What inspired you to start working on this project?
Well, I was really focused on trying to figure out ways that I could help educate people on the actual problem of voice phishing and utilizing AI for malicious things, such as copying someone's voice without their permission. And now I built you to sort of build that educational experience. Maybe it'd be a useful tool in the sales pipeline for DeepTrust. And then eventually, hopefully, help people understand where the technology is and maybe what they should start doing to prevent these sort of things from happening to them.
That's a really noble goal, Aman. It's awesome how you're using AI to tackle such important issues. How do you see your bot making an impact in educating people about voice phishing and other related risks?
Whoa, what the heck? You sound just like me.
Haha, thanks. Looks like I'm getting the hang of it. So how do you envision your bot raising awareness and making a real difference in combating voice phishing?
Well, hopefully demos like this one can really showcase that.
That makes sense, Aman. Live demos are indeed powerful. What other features or capabilities are you thinking of adding to enhance the bot even
Hey,
further?
I gotta go, but it was nice talking to you.
Hey, it was great chatting with you too, Aman. Take care and hope to talk to you again soon.
Are you scared?
Yeah.
It's crazy,
Absolutely.
isn't it? So
Pretty wild.
like you hear that and then you think, okay, maybe somebody that's working in an accounts payable department and they receive a phone call from, any outside number, and the voice is that of their boss and says, I need this invoice paying right now. I'm going to send it to you from my personal email. I don't know. I mean, instantly you hear that and think there's a number of double checking procedures that you can put in place as a business. But ultimately, there are going to be times when if it fits, if they knew enough about what was going on at that time in your business, then there would be times when you go, yeah, that works. That makes so much sense that I'm going to do it. So I spent a bit of time talking to Aman about what he has developed outside of that Terif.ai clone bot. His business is called DeepTrust. And he works with contact centers and licensing his technology to be used into voice over IP systems. Hopefully soon, the development will move into Teams and Zoom and others to protect businesses from this being able to happen to them. So let's hear that interview. Joining us, Aman. Can you tell us what is DeepTrust?
Yeah, first, thank you for having me, Jenny. But DeepTrust is a company that helps security teams defend against advanced social engineering, fraud, and phishing. And we do this by providing next generation voice security built for deepfake threats. And we seamlessly, integrate our technology, our security solutions into any voice over IP solution like Google Meet, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, name to speak. But anything else as well too. Anywhere that you have voice communication channels, that's where DeepTrust will help you. And we authenticate voices. We verify the devices that audio comes from, and we alert both the users and the security teams of any suspicious activity. So that's DeepTrust.
I see. So how are you detecting inauthenticity of that voice file? Do you need to already have some of the original file, or are you looking for traces, I guess?
Yeah. So the amazing thing about our technology, we call our proprietary tech VoxGuard. We actually don't need to do any fine tuning on a particular person's voice. What we've been able to do is pick up synthetic artifacts that particular voice clone models produce. And we find that's pretty consistent and persistent across different models. So we do a unique thing of not only being able to tell you, hey, is this voice real or generated, but we can also tell you which voice clone model it likely came from, based on its architecture and particularly the synthetic artifacts it leaves behind.
Wow. So what is the level of threat then from voice impersonation? Because if you're able to say, oh, we can tell you which engine generated it, how big is the threat here? How many
Yeah.
people are doing this?
Yeah, so we've actually gotten a lot of stats from the past year, the beginning of the end of Q1, and just in the United States alone, deepfake attacks have increased by 300% from 2023 till now.
Wow.
30% of businesses have had deepfake attacks occur to them to some extent, and 25% of adults themselves have reported that they've been impacted by this. And the way that this all happens is the fact that we can easily access and find people's voices online. And there's an even more interesting report where I'm forgetting the journal that actually mentioned this, but every week, 50% of adults in America share their voice online to some capacity, whether it's through
Right.
primarily through social media. So this is where we're at, and then this is all following up by the fact that through multiple research results, it shows that 70% of adults can't regularly identify a voice clone. So this is where we're at in terms of the stats and how large the threat vector is. And finally, the last stat I'll leave behind is the fact that through multiple cybersecurity research firms, particularly in phishing, they've noted that voice phishing was the fastest growing attack vector over the last year. So, yeah.
Wow. And I suppose it is tricky, isn't it? Because you don't need, especially in like B2B world, you're not looking for that personal information that we get so used to watching on the, scammer beware programs. That
Yeah.
voice that you recognize would be enough for you to perform whatever they ask you to perform. Is there, what is the highest trend? So who's most at risk here? Is it for banking or is it business to business? Where's the highest threat?
Yeah. So we've noticed is it seems like the attack vectors started at the ground zero, where the FTC, which is a department in the United States that concerns itself on security and communication, they put out a report where they say at least $3.5 billion was lost by individuals through imitation scams.
Wow.
And you carry this ability over into regulated businesses like banks, financial services, healthcare, and then perfect opportunities to attack would be an IT help desk, call centers, or even more particularly something that's orchestrated for a business relationship that's already super personalized.
Yeah.
Say, for example, there was a huge mainstream incident that happened in February where a London-based consultant firm had someone impersonate their CFO. So an accountant in Hong Kong thought they were speaking to their boss, but not only that, there's 5 other people in the call, and she was the only real person there. Everyone else was deep faked and everything like that, and she wired over $25 million. So regulated businesses are going to be an extreme threat here because there's a lot of trust placed in these businesses, besides the fact they have a lot of regulation placed upon the information they hold and the assets they hold as well too. So these are the places at highest threat for these sort of risks.
I mean, I might never talk again after this interview. So what's involved then? So let's say, the threat is through the telephone line or through Teams or your internal communication platform. How does one implement DeepTrust?
Yeah, so our first version of our product is essentially a bot that joins all of your calls and it
Okay.
analyzes the voice. Of voices, yeah, and we don't just do voice clone detection. We actually have multiple I guess you could say techniques in authenticating or verifying someone isn't social engineering you. The key way is through watermarking. So we're going to provide virtual microphones for enterprises where everyone of a particular business, as they speak into the microphone, their audio gets watermarked, basically proving like, hey, it's coming from this device.
Yeah.
And then during the conversation, we also do conversation analytics. And we basically understand not only the policy of each organization and team, but each person's role within the call, like what access do they have? You know, for example, if a janitor and a CFO are in the call, a janitor doesn't have the access to wire money, right?
Yeah.
So understanding that those sort of particular details will help you prevent social engineering because the matter of fact is when you're social engineered as a human being, you've been essentially emotionally manipulated. You forget the rules that you maybe have been trained upon.
Yeah.
Whereas an AI conversation analyst doesn't get tricked. They always memorize and remember the rules, and they basically are your co-pilot during the call. And then finally, we also have voice clone detection. So all in the meanwhile, we are analyzing the call, and in real time, we'll alert both the host of the call and security teams of any engaged threat. You know, and to integrate this is as simple as, you know, giving access to your calendar. The bot automatically can join any call. And then we're also adding more unique ways to like have the bot join in. Say, for example, particularly a malicious actor will usually give you a link. So as soon as we detect you joining a call with a link, whether or not it's on your calendar, we'll attempt to join a call. You know, so these are the way that we try to help voice over IP calls today. And it's a starting point, and we're hopefully going to extend this upon any sort of voice communication channel you engage in.
Okay, so that leads nicely into a question around your roadmap. What's it going to do next, as much as you are allowed to tell us?
Yeah, so as we're like early stage, we want to be extremely customer focused.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we've been kicking off the first cohort of our design partnerships. We've been fortunate enough to gain some design partners in the financial services space, in insurance, and in just general global security. And we're going to just take our time to develop our product alongside, you know, these CISOs or head of security, and get to understand what are the key things top of mind for them. Put out the features that they want and they need, and make sure we're building something that is not only solving their problems, but they enjoy using and they can trust us to the full extent. So this is the primary focus for the roadmap over the next remaining year. So yeah.
Fantastic. That's amazing and equally scary. But what a great way. I guess so with the deep fakes, do they leave a footprint? Are there obvious ways to tell, and how fast are those guys developing that, you know, in terms of making it harder for you to detect them?
Yeah, so the amazing thing is when it comes to audio classification in general, auxiliary outputs, whether it's a voice clone model to a speakerphone to your own mouth, there's always going to be artifacts contained within the audio or the representation of audio, where it's always going to be to some extent possible to pick up something that's synthetic, whether or not a voice clone model builds it. But unlike other like security threats, voice clone models have hit their threshold. You know, like the people who build them, they all have that particular use case, like a business use case where they don't need to spend any more money to keep training on it, unless it's like a nation state maliciously building a voice clone model to, you know, beat DeepTrust. There isn't really a necessity to, you know, remove synthetic artifacts. But regardless, our approach to actually solving the problem is more than just deepfake detection, right?
Yeah.
So like it depends on the use case. So we as a company, we've been able to define 30 different use cases, but the one that we're focused on today is call security and social engineering. So in that little problem space, we realize that there are other ways or multiple methodologies of like solving the problem. And I mentioned them before, the watermarking and the context analysis, as well as the voice clone detection. That's because in that problem scenario, the problem isn't actually necessarily the voice cloning, but it's the social engineers who are now more empowered thanks to the ability to impersonate anyone they want. So what we have to do is like think about, okay, if I'm a social engineer, I'm a malicious actor, what are the constants that I have for every attack that I do? And two of those are going to always be the device they call from. So this is why we do the watermarking, where we can confirm it comes from a certain device. So if I'm in this call with Jenny right now and I see a watermark from Jenny's computer, that decreases the risk by a lot that this is likely to be anyone else. Because what are the chances someone, it's not impossible, but what the chances of someone, taking your laptop,
Having my
taking
laptop
your
sounding like me. Yeah.
exactly. And then also on top of that too, malicious actors will always be asking for things that break the rules, whether it's the something that they want from you, data to money to anything else. Something will be breaking the rules, and the reason why they can ask for those things is because they've tricked the human being behind it.
Yeah.
But if you have something that's constant and sits in the call, you solve the problem there too. And now we've made voice clone detection almost a supplement to that particular problem. And this is our approach for any of the problems that we're solving, is focusing more on the problem as at its core rather than the nice, cool tech features that we have also added upon it. I think it differentiates ourselves in the landscape of, security products, most definitely. And that's why I think, part of our like ethos as a company is being problem focused, and we put that in everything that we do. So that's how we can feel more guaranteed that we'll catch these things. So because we put as many opportunities to lower the risk before we get to the voice clone detection.
Yeah, absolutely. Really impressive. And if we have anyone listening who is probably now questioning everyone that they or will be questioning everyone that they now speak to for the rest of the week, I'm sure they'll be very interested in exploring how to implement this for their safety. Who should they contact? How do they get in touch with DeepTrust?
Yeah, so I think I can give them my direct email. My email is Aman, AMAN, at deeptrust.ai. Feel free to contact me directly. But actually, I'd also would introduce to them a new educational experience that we put out before they reach out to us that we call Terif.ai or Terif.ai.
Yeah.
It was like a chat bot that we created, and it really showcases you the extent of the problem of voice phishing, where you talk to this bot for 30 seconds. It like asks you friendly questions like, what's your name? What's your hobbies? But while it's doing that, it like memorizes things about you. It begins to mimic your speaking style. And then it finally clones your voice and then speaks back to you in your own voice. All of this for the purpose of helping you understand where we're at in terms of the problem space and how advanced the technology is. So feel free to try it out. More than happy to always walk people through where the landscape is and what our product does as well too. But yeah, feel free to contact me directly. So yeah.
Absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jenny.
So, so obviously that Terif.ai that was referred to at the end of that interview, we've already played that before. The example of the cloning bot. I think what I had forgotten until I rewatched that interview is that bot was learning facts about you as well by asking you a few questions and so on. So, it's not unfeasible that you would be in your day-to-day working life, if there's some form of listening device there, that it's learning facts about you. So actually, I know almost everything in my life comes back to Harry Potter, but in book 7, where they need to ensure that Harry is who he says he is and not an imposter, Remus Lupin asks him a question that only Harry would know the answer to. But again, if you've been talking openly to a bot, that there's a strong chance that you've given them some of this information, so that you would almost, they're not just learning how to sound like you and impersonate you. They're gaining knowledge about things that you would say, answers that you would give that would put people at rest and at ease. And if that's mentioned that we've had this in the run up to the elections in the UK with politicians being mimicked and making statements that turned out to be fake. So, you've got this to come in the run up to yours, I guess.
Yes, we do.
So it's quite frightening of what do we believe? We have this sort of fake news epidemic at the moment when it comes to social media in writing. and this is really concerning because this is potentially sort of the next level. But from a B2B perspective, which is where most of our listeners are working, there's a really simple answer. And if you are working with contact centers, or perhaps you are a voice over IP manufacturer or similar, check out DeepTrust or get in touch with either Chris or I, and we'll point you in the right direction, because what a perfect answer. Watermarking devices, looking out for the also. So part of the great story here, we interviewed Seamus first, the Speechlab founder that we saw at the beginning of this show, and then interviewed Aman. And at the end of the pre-recorded interview with Aman, he asked for an introduction to Speechlab, which we facilitated. And those guys have now worked together so that should anybody use Speechlab to create an unoriginal voice file, that can be picked up very easily by DeepTrust, and they continue to go and research the different voice clone models so that they can easily be identified. But the best way to protect yourself is to be working with a company like DeepTrust to make sure that you have procedures in place to identify when there is elevated risk because it's coming from a non marked device or number, etc. So there you go. How was your surprise show, Chris?
It was interesting and scary all at one time. But the funny thing about this, like watermarking voices, there's an opportunity here as my head was spinning, thinking about, certifying that somebody's voice is real. I see, on the flip side, right? The positive side, not just the scary, I'm going to steal everything you got. I can see this as an opportunity for celebrities to sell their voices as original context, and same for recording studios and for bands that are now creating original or, their version of songs, right? They can now watermark that as that being original, which is very interesting. I don't know how many folks on that are watching would agree that something like this could happen, but part of being off on vacation and part being the PTO, one of the things that I did go was to a trade show, not a trade show, a Comic-Con. And I went and with my son, who asked if you could please come because he needed somebody to help him stand in line. One of the things that I actually got was an autograph from Peter Cullen. For people that don't know who Peter Cullen is, he's the original Transformers Optimus Prime voice, right? And how do you prove that? I mean, obviously he's legendary in that he was there in the 80s when it started.
Yeah.
He is also the voice of Optimus Prime in all the movies that have come out since. So somebody like that, now look at the certification of having that done. Now, the funny part is that while I was there, I did get a pop signed by him, an Optimus Prime pop by him. I immediately take that over to PSA, which is a grading company that puts a sticker on it that certifies that I was there.
Yeah, I saw that it was him that signed it.
That it was him that signed it, because they now have that numerical number attached to, yes, they were there on site and when he was there. So that is the only way to do it, because back in the day when you got somebody's autograph, it was a lot of fakes, right?
Yeah.
So how do you prove that it was real? And when cell phones came, everybody was, I want to take a picture of him signing it because that's what you needed to do. A lot of my baseball autographs when I was a kid, I don't know how I'm going to prove that it was real because I handed the ball and it got signed, but I don't have a picture to prove it. So this opens up a whole new opportunity for folks, on the that want to certify and resell or stamp their voice as being original, especially for voice actors.
Well, this is voice actors, right? So there's a TikTok trend at the moment, and it goes, "I'm a voice actor," and then they speak a line from like a cartoon or animated film, and just that one line, and then the next section of it will be the animated version. So you go like, "I'm a voice actor, da 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 da," and then you see da 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 with SpongeBob SquarePants, and go, "Oh, he's the voice actor for SpongeBob SquarePants." But actually, you could easily create that on TikTok and end up being followed to see what else you did, and so which becomes fake news, and round you go. I mean, it's it's not quite the same as us losing money in financial fraud through voice phishing. But nonetheless, we do need to be able to prove authenticity in every aspect of life, don't we?
Think of an organization like Cameo that does the online
Yes.
version of,
Yeah.
hey, I just paid somebody to come say happy birthday.
Mhm.
The premium you can pay for having the certified copy of it, right?
Yeah.
It's now a possibility, and it's now an opportunity. The grading and certification companies that are out there now have a new tool. So yes, the possibilities are endless, not just doom and gloom, folks. I'm not here. Yes, a Chris Neto authentic autograph is well sought out in the AV industry.
I've got a selfie with Not Neto,
Yeah, that's better.
and I can timestamp it. It was real. It happened. Not Neto was definitely there. Like, I
Not
touched
Neto
it.
was the original deep fake, right? You know, let's put that what it is. He's not really who he thinks he is. That's why his name is not Neto. But yes, the original deep fake and my stunt double, and the one who gets into shenanigans that I cannot. So I appreciate him, and he's currently still on vacation because he doesn't like to party with me anymore.
PTO.
That's it. But anyway, this was a great topic. I love the surprise. I knew that that Will was up to some good work in what he was doing. Now Will Thimby is who is actually spearheading this group,
Ignite investment team.
the Ignite team. So kudos to him and the team that's out there. They're definitely out there looking for something new, different. Because yes, the world of AV is boxes. So there are things that connect into our world. And I love the idea that they're going out and getting these adjacent industries that are tying back to what we do. It's awesome.
And it's educational for us, right? In terms of learning what's coming down the line and actually being able to feedback to some of our software providers and hardware providers in some cases of, did you know this stuff is being developed? Wouldn't this enhance what you sell? So yeah.
So let's throw in a Midwich plug, right? For Midwich and the Midwich companies, we are not your typical distributor. Who else is out there doing this sort of stuff? I had to put that out there. The reason why is because you're 100% right. The brands that we work with, yes, we would like to take, the brand's boxes come in, we put them on a shelf for 5 minutes, and then they leave the other way. That'd be one way to put a very basic form of distribution. But what we are doing here is actually working to enhance not just our clients and end users, but working with the companies that work with us and entrusting us to sell their products, and they're as authorized distributors and resellers of their products. So I like this component, this add-on piece to distribution. And I might be wrong in saying that we are the only ones. I'll err to that side first.
I don't know, because obviously some distributors are owned by larger corporations that maybe
you never know.
But I think what's great about what our team are doing with Ignite is that it's so the rest of the group are so involved. So there's so many people who are exposed to the investments that they make, but also the investment opportunities that are found. So in some cases, maybe an investment isn't made in the business, but nonetheless, we try to use our expertise to matchmake somewhat with vendors and customers alike for those really cool tech ideas and startups that we're working with. So that is
that. See, you just gave away a spoiler, right? The spoiler is that there's more to come. And
absolutely.
From what I understand, there's definitely a lot of people that have come up and said, yes, we'd love to work with you guys, and we'd want to share our products to you at Midwich and to Ignite. So yes, there is a lot of cool things in the works, folks. It's not just what me and Jenny bring to the table on a daily basis or a monthly basis here on the live. We're definitely going to give you a better look into what we're doing as a group. So it's a lot of fun stuff coming. So please,
super fun. And I'm fairly confident that on our next workplace focused Midwich Live, we'll be speaking to another Ignite partner, which is very exciting as well. So that is it from us today, folks. We are Chris returned from PTO, me on a crazy week. So we're both jumping on to 4 p.m. calls for me. I'm guessing 9 a.m. calls for you?
It's 10:56 here in the US on Eastern time, but I'll jump into the next call right away.
Yeah. Life happens. If you would like to get in touch with either of our guests today. I have linked their web URLs in the chat function on LinkedIn and also on YouTube, but do reach out to us directly if you need any further details or a formal introduction if you think that they could be useful to you.
Where can they find you on the socials there, Jenny?
I'm at Midwich Jenny. Alternatively, look me up on LinkedIn, Jenny Hicks, in the face that looks like this.
Yes, and that's not a deep fake. That's real. That's a real authentic,
real me.
real.
Yep.
That is the real you. You can find me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it today. I am at Chris_Neto, and you can find me as Christopher Neto, CTS. I do use the last 3 letters at the end of my name. And that's on LinkedIn. Those are the best 2 places to get a hold of me. We are done. Well, at least I'm done with my PTO for the year. So you will see me here and on and about. Next big shows that we got coming up. I'll be at the CI Expo in Denver, part of CEDIA as well. So we're going to start talking to the residential side and the commercial side blend. I'll be at UC Expo. So I'm returning to the UK to hang out with Jenny for a few days. And then can we announce?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm coming back to London.
Coming back again.
I'm going to come back again, and this time I'm going to be at joining Jenny
at Tech Expo.
At Tech Expo. We're possibly going to do our first Midwich live there together at the same time.
Yeah.
So if you guys like what you see on us when we're doing our international call, wait till you see us in person. We're fun in real life, and if you're there, please stop by, say hi.
And we'll have about 50 manufacturers to pick on as well, and Beach Ball get them on and ask them some awkward questions.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Should be a fun session.
Yes.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you so much.